Joining us today on Go Acadiana is Congressman John Fleming, who's taking some time out of a very busy travel schedule today. And Congressman, I saw that you wrote a letter to the president urging him to do something that he doesn't want to do, and that's this National Day of Prayer. This man seems to be so ungodly. There is no way he's going to do a National Day of Prayer.
Well, unfortunately, Ken, I think you're right about that. But, I felt like that it was the right thing to do to call upon him. Ever since the beer summit, really several years ago, in which the president called out the police officer for an unfortunate interaction with a citizen, which in that case and in many cases since then, not least of which is what happened in Ferguson, Missouri, the police the law enforcement officers have been correct in their actions. And let's face it, occasionally, police officers, they're humans and they can make mistakes.
Sure.
But the president seems to always side, no matter what the facts are, in fact, even before he finds out what they are, with the potential perpetrator and against the law enforcement officer. So I think it's time for a change of heart of this president. He has the bully pulpit. He needs to change the heart of America because I think that we're getting bad results from his attitude, which is now the targeting of police officers, and probably the most egregious was this Mr. Goforth down in Houston, who was doing nothing more than gassing up his car, but he was in uniform and therefore targeted.
Yeah, that's just really a shame. People that put their lives on the line every day. And I don't know if you frequent Facebook, but there was a thing up there one day that says, next time you need help, call a crackhead if you don't like cops. And it's the truth. So many of these people are like, the police are evil, they're bad, but who are you going to call? These people have been trained to do their job. Every time they go to a domestic dispute, they don't know if they're going to walk away, like in Sunset, just 25 miles away from here last week.
Yes. Look, when a police officer stops a car for a routine traffic stop, he or she doesn't know that they may be facing a sawed-off shotgun. And to have that level of courage day in and day out, and to be paid a modest sum, really, we owe it quite a bit, for far more, for the dedication of these men and women. So at least we can give them moral support. So what I called upon the president to do is to have a National Day of Prayer, to change the heart of America, and to understand that all lives matter. Every life is important, not just one group, one entity. And it's hopeless that this president would respond. But as soon as I get back to Washington next week, we're going to put forth a resolution and a dear colleague letter to my colleagues in the House of Representatives to sign on, and to have a resolution from the House calling for it. And as you know, Ken, our Governor Geaux, has already called for a statewide day of prayer. So I think it's the right thing to do.
Well, Congressman, I think it's the right thing to do. And, you mentioned Governor Geaux calling the Day of Prayer. I'm fully aware of his religious views, but the president, since he was elected, has just distanced himself from all Western religion, it looks like. More and more accommodations being made to the Muslim religion. And as far as the rest of us, the Christians, we're being persecuted. And this president has done nothing for that. He's done nothing for race relations. And, his presidency is just going to be, I think, remarkable for the fact that it's done nothing for the country. Well,
Ken, the Bible says we're known by our fruits. And a recent poll was done, and, Americans know their president by the 7th or 8th year of the term. And the vast majority did not feel in this poll that the president is a Christian. So I think that is a pretty damning statement by the American people who maybe they don't know what his religious beliefs are, but they're certainly not convinced that he's there to protect religious liberty, especially for Christians.
Certainly not. And, we can also talk about Planned Parenthood if you'd like. I'm just the president seems to be going one way. And then we get Governor Geaux actually doing what I think he should be doing. So that's a whole new ball.
Yes, we need more of that kind of leadership among our leadership staff, our leadership teams in Congress. Republicans control both the House and the Senate. just before leaving, 55 of us, I led a letter to Speaker Boehner calling upon him to have a vote to defund Planned Parenthood. You know, we're providing, as a federal government, over $500 million per year that actually goes to subsidize the largest abortion mill in the country, which sells baby body parts. And the Speaker refused to do that. 18 members, including myself, and I think this number is going to grow, have pledged that in the upcoming spending bill that we have to pass before the end of the month for the rest of the year, the fiscal year going to October 2016, that we will not vote for any bill that spends even one nickel for Planned Parenthood.
Wow, that's impressive. And, you know, Planned Parenthood is one thing, but Planned Parenthood, by just wiping out so many babies since Roe v. Wade, it's just turned the country, I think, into just a very cold-hearted place. And more people are to the point where it's just a pregnancy, I'll get rid of it. It's just a shame our country's gone that far.
Yeah, 57 million innocents have been taken from the safest place God has given them, and that's their mother's womb, since Roe v. Wade. And it's not just early pregnancies.
Right.
We're talking in some cases late term, even. We're only one of 7 nations in the world in which you can actually do an abortion. You can kill a baby in the womb right up to the point of delivery. And I think we all agree that that's barbaric.
Yep.
And there are many things we can do to reduce that number, certainly the body count. And, you know, the left would never allow us to sell, puppy parts or kitty parts.
Right.
So why in the world would we be selling human baby parts?
Wow, that puts it into perspective for me. I'm just appalled by so much that goes on. And like you mentioned, the fact that we've got the majority, so why can't we get anything done? Because the Democrats are obviously still got a stronghold on government, but some Republicans are siding with them. And I think those people have to be brought into line if that's possible.
Well, I think it is, and I think there's a growing number of conservatives who are concerned. You know, I spent the entire month of August, Ken, throughout the state of Louisiana talking to constituents, and every single one of them said that they were very frustrated that now we have the biggest majority in the House of Representatives is Republicans. In 70 years, we have a new majority in the Senate, and yet nothing is changed. And they're clamoring, and that's why you see the Trump phenomenon, because of the pent-up frustration among our base that we have the majorities we need, but too often our leadership is more concerned about keeping its leadership and majority rather than fighting back against these extreme left-wing agendas.
You brought up the subject of Donald Trump. Do we have time to touch on that?
Yeah, sure.
Donald Trump, you know, I always said he's just a blowhard. I would never even consider him. But the more it goes, myself and a few other people I know are like leaning towards him, maybe saying, hey, he's got the right idea. Some of the stuff he's proposing just cannot be done. There's no doubt in my mind. But I agree with him with the wall. I agree with illegal immigration. Right. You know, we've got to take care of this.
I think our constituency, and America in general, wants authenticity from those that lead them in Washington. They're sick and tired of the talking points. They're sick and tired of us really nibbling at the edges on the issues. And so they like what Donald Trump is saying in the sense that he wants to hit it head on. Mm-hmm. And I think a much more courageous pursuit is what they're asking for. And I think, you know, who knows what's going to happen to Donald Trump. He probably will fade in the end, but I think it informs the other candidates who are probably more long-term professionals in this business, right. That, look, you guys can't just play the middle of the road. You've got to take a stand on principle, or we're never going to get this country turned around.
Yeah, some of the other candidates need to get some testosterone injections or something like that. Because
Indeed.
Too milquetoast. I mean, you know, well, when you got Hillary Clinton, who's got more testosterone than 5 of the Republican candidates, it's something to worry about. Well, Congressman Fleming, we thank you for joining us today, and I know you've got a real busy schedule, so we'll schedule another one real soon.
Ken, it's always a pleasure. Looking forward to it.